this is Cindy. I'm the Tireless Tangler, and you've arrived at day 89 of the 100 Days of Zentangle Project 2020. Thank you guys so much for being on this journey with me. Thank you every day for watching these videos, for posting on Instagram, for sending me emails with your work, for direct messaging me on Instagram, for all of the things you do to keep involved with me through comments and all the other things. I thank you. You guys are the best group of people I've ever known. All right, so today's tangle is in honor of Independence Day in the U.S., and this is the day that we celebrate the forming of our country. And so this is KaBoom by Tabitha Bedoukian. She is a CZT. She is an awesome artist and is so creative, and I'm always in awe of the things that she comes up with. So you should definitely check out her step out art on Zentangle Patterns. I'm going to be referring to it quite a few times during this, so you might want to take a look so you know what I'm talking about. All right, guys, let's get started. Okay, so KaBoom is very easy to draw. However, there are several areas where you can run into difficulties while you're drawing this. And so let me point out a couple of those and give you some tips for how I'm going to do it. Hopefully they're going to work out. Okay, so to begin with, and this is how the step out starts. I'm going to put a little dot for a frame of reference in the center, okay? And this is really to help me remember where the center is. Actually, maybe a little bit bigger dot might be good, but not very big, okay? So this whole pattern is based on this shape. It's an elongated V shape, okay? And then it has a rounded top on it, like that, okay? Now, in the step out, she also says that this can have different shapes, different tops. It can be square. It can be rectangular. She has a version with hearts that I'm not going to use. It's extremely similar in the setup to Lava. It's very similar to Lava in the fact that it's a radial tangle and it's very organic and heart-shaped. However, you can also do this with rectangular shapes. Okay? That said, this tangle, KaBoom, is intended to be a radial tangle, okay? I think Tabitha has another tangle on Zentangle Patterns called Kulakane or something like that. And that is based on a line where you do basically the same thing. And you have different heights and such like that. So they're basically the same tangle. What my point here is that this form in the conical shape that it has can be a problem in this way. We're going to start, and I don't usually have troubles with it until I get going, but we're going to start with one of these elongated V shapes with a rounded top. It's a conical cone shape, okay? And so we're going to put 3 of these in. So we're going to want to be aware of how much room we're taking up. And my first tip is to always, always, always keep in mind the center point. It's when you forget that center point and which way your lines are directed that you start to run into problems with this. Now, that's not to say this is hard. It is not. But you need to keep that in the front of your mind. Trust me as you draw. Okay. This is the first step in this pattern. Okay. 3 cones all pointed towards a center point. Now, the trick to the rest of this is we're going to layer in different sizes of these in different places. It's going to be completely random, completely what you want. And I know that's going to make some of you very uncomfortable, and it's going to make some of you thrilled. But however you manage it, you need to keep that center point in mind, okay? Now, the next thing that I ran into that was difficult for me is the shape of the top of these needs to be consistent, okay? It can look like whatever you want, but they need to be consistent with each other. And since I'm going to work with this conical shape, I want the tops of mine to be similar in shape and such. So when I put my next row in, I'm going to keep this in mind, and I've been excuse me, I've been playing with the idea of drawing the top in first, and then bringing my lines to a center point. But I don't think I'm getting as natural a look here as I would if I did it in a different way. So what I want you to do now is just go through, put them different heights, but always, before you do anything, keep that center point in mind. And you can tell here that this is truly pointed. Well, that's pretty good, actually. You want each of your lines, both of them, to point at that center line, okay? Just keep turning your tile, add them as you wish. They can be bigger or smaller. So I think I'm going to draw this one in smaller. Again, keeping that center point in mind. Now, this is not so hard to do in the first couple of layers, right? However, as you get out and there's no more room here for you to point at, then it really takes concentration to get them. So I'm going to put a large one in this gap right here and show you how that goes. Okay, now I'm going to shift my tile slightly, and I'm going to carefully point at that center line. The other thing I'm going to try to do as I move forward here is to always turn my tiles so that I make this stroke in the same way each time. It's hard to do it all at once because you have to deal with each entity, but it will make the tops of these more consistent, I hope. Okay, so I'm going to do another large one here. And go ahead and let that really be large. And here's what I said. Turn your tile the same direction each time so that you're making the same stroke each time. Okay, so let's put a medium height one in here. Okay, let's see. Almost got it. Now, once you have gotten to the place where you have quite a few entities, you may want to, and I think I'm going to make this spot right here a small one. I'm going to just keep turning my tile, keep putting in the layers, always with the center point in mind. Okay? I highly recommend you go to Tangle Patterns and check out Tabitha's amazing artwork on this. She has such good ideas. I know Tabitha from Art Club, and she is an amazing artist, but she also is extremely creative in the way that she thinks. And so I have always, for a long time, been an admirer of an admirer of her art. And again, keeping the center point in mind, turning your tile so that you're making the same top stroke the same way each time. And so far, except for these first few, I've done a fairly good job, I feel. I'm trying to decide whether to go smaller or larger here. Let's do one more small one. And leave that like that, and then put a larger element. See, but make sure I have lined this up from the center. Simba says hello. I hope those of you using headphones didn't just get your ears burst. Simba. No. No. Good boy. Good no. All right. So again, these lines need to come from center out. And then turn your tile the same direction as always and make that same top stroke. Okay? They're not going to be perfect, and they don't need to be perfect. But this is what we've got. Okay, I'm going to put a long one up in here, again, being aware of my center line. And you can see how as you progress, it's very easy to get these turned just slightly off, and it will definitely make a difference. Well, that's sort of, kind of, if we made that the other side, let's try that. Got myself out of a mess on that. I angled that one slightly off if I were going to make that this side of the triangle or cone or whatever it is. Let's put, I'm going to leave some areas short, some areas tall. I'm just trying to decide. I want to add maybe 2 more of these big ones, and I'm trying to decide where the best spot for that would be. So I think I'm going to put one over here. And I'm going to turn this so that my top stroke is done the same way. All right. And I think I'll put one more over. And it's fun to leave them unsymmetrical, if that's a word. It's fun to leave them, you know, with differing heights and such. Maybe I'll put one more, maybe thin one over here. So again, make sure you're aiming for from the center point out as you do these. And it's kind of difficult to make that one even. Okay. So this is essentially KaBoom. Now, one of the very cool things that Tabitha did in her step out art was to make some areas where, as she went around, she had these conical shapes coming out, but she didn't cap them off, and she let them run off the tile, which I thought was a very cool idea. She also mentioned that you could use these to fill a string area. So, for example, if you had a wavy line coming through here and a wavy line coming through here, you could put these radiating out from that point. So, as with any radial tangle, and you could put these in corners like we did with our radial tangles. So, one of the cool things that she has for decoration or embellishment on this, for me, that's the same thing, even that up a little bit, is that she has aura'd the top line and then striped and sparkled them. The reason that this is cool is because that enhances that conical shape, right? And it gives you a chance to use a sparkle, which is a great tangle enhancer. Okay. Let's put 1 or 2 more in, but you do not have to do it this way. I was playing around with what I wanted to do today and came up with a couple of different fill ideas, and I will save those for the tile creation part. But this is one of the ways that she handled the embellishing of this. I found this to be extremely effective and dynamic, especially when, when it's done all the way around. So let's get the tile out and get started and see what happens. Okay, so for today's tile, I'm going to use one of my very precious from Canada, Zentangle tiles today. This is an original Zentangle tile, and it is beautiful paper. It is a pretty creamy off-white, and these are the pens that I'm going to use. I'm going to use my Micron PNs in black, red, and blue. I guess you can tell where I'm going with this one. And I'm also going to use my red brush pen. It's going to speed things up, I hope. And hopefully that's not a recipe for disaster where I'm concerned. So I figured that for today, for Independence Day for the U.S., that I would choose KaBoom, because it's just perfect for the rocket's red glare, right? So that's part of our national anthem. Okay, so I'm going to start with my center dot that, as we all know, is extremely important. And even though I've got more room here, I'm considering now whether to put my center off. And I think that's what I'm going to do, because I think I had intended to go from the center out on this, but I really think this is going to be more fun if I do an off-center dot. So what I think I'm going to do is put it up on the side. And really, you can do this anywhere you like, okay? So what I'm going to end up with is an opportunity to radiate these out really long and hopefully come up with something interesting. I don't know. We're going to find out. So I'm going to start with my 3 center cones. And I think after doing the step out with you guys, I think I'm going to change the way that I draw these and start from the center line always. Now, I know on the later levels that's not going to be possible, but then again, I'm going to start with, okay, then I'm going to do my second, turning my tile each time and coming out from center, because I know, no, you don't have to draw it this way, but this is going to give a much more consistent result. Okay, and then always making this top stroke from the same way, same stroke, same angle. Okay, so now I'm going to start filling in my blank areas with the idea that this is going to, sorry, I'm thinking about one of Tabitha's examples on Tangle Patterns, which was beautiful, and I'm trying to figure out at what point to put something like that in, because I desperately want to put that in. So I think I'm going to do a couple more in here, and then I'm going to do that. It's like a river coming out almost. I'll show you here in a minute. Okay, calm down, Cindy. So now I'm going to come up here. No, I'm not. I'm going to start at the center line, skip this area, come out. I'm going to shift my tile because I'm going to listen to myself. And then I'm going to join these. Got that one a little too long. I'm going to try not to do that because I can't seem to get the lines on straight. Okay. Then I think I'll put another one here. You want these to be varying sizes and widths. Oops, I did it again, didn't I? All right. Motorcycles are on. It's the evening on a Friday and everybody is going home and ready to have fun here in the US. This is a holiday weekend well, people say it's the 4th of July, but what it is Independence Day today. You know, the problem with these videos and me trying to get ahead on them is that I become so lost as to what day it is and which day is which video, and yeah, so it's confusing. The good news for me is that I'm ahead. Okay. Ooh, sorry. I tickled myself and made me laugh. All right, so again, from the center out, and I'm going to make these longer. That wasn't quite the center, but I think it'll work okay. Besides, what am I going to do? I'm going to take my time is what I'm going to do. Okay, so now at this point here, I'm going to put in one of the things that Tabitha did on hers. And I think I may put 2 of these in. So let me show you what I'm going to do over here because it's going to be easy. And let me map it out in my head. Actually, I'm going to use a pencil. Because I have never done this before. So I want to make sure what I'm doing. She had this coming out here, but instead of capping it off, she did something like this, right? And then she continued to add her elements around this, but yeah. And so I think I want to do one there, and I think I want to do another one, maybe coming down from here. I guess that's a natural spot, isn't it? So if we come from here, and come from here, and do it like that, and then I'll fill up the rest of this with regular KaBooms, okay? And this sort of is a regular KaBoom because at any point here we could cap this off. And that's not to say that these have to be straight. They don't. They can curve too. So play with this. This is just opening your mind to possibilities is what this is. So I'm going to go ahead and draw these in now that I've figured out what I want to do. Normally I do not, or I try not to draw in guidelines. And that's not to say that guidelines aren't helpful. The reason that Zentangle chooses not to use that type of thing is because they feel like that inhibits the Zen. And they're right. Because, as I've told you guys before, anything you do with your art that causes decision making to happen, like adding color, is something that removes Zen. Now, color is a cool thing, and I am a big fan of color myself, as you guys know. But it's not everything. But it does take decision making to accomplish that. So let's see. I'm going to add a few more, but I don't want them all to be the same length. And I don't want to take up all the gaps. You could, but part of the coolness of this pattern is the fact that it's random in its look. And so short, long, big, small, whatever you want to do is cool. So I think I'll leave this area blank for now, although, and leaving the areas blank is a hardship for me. As you can tell from here, I did not do a very good job of leaving gaps. So I'm going to really strive to leave at least 1 or 2 here where things are small and never get larger. Let's see. Let's put another one in down here. See if we can get this turned. And let's see. Like this. I'm trying to resist the urge to fill it all in, so be patient with me here. This is that whole leaving negative space thing being difficult for me. And it is. You can see why getting that center point lined up with your lines is so important here. Otherwise, they're turned separate ways and they don't come out nicely. Once again, trying not to fill in everything. Just do one straight out here. And then all right. What I'm doing now is called drawing behind. It's something we learned from the tangle pattern Halaba, and it's pretty cool. If I could stick a longer one right here without giving up my negative space spot. And again, I'm almost not quite getting these turned right. That should have gone this way. I wonder if I put this one in this way. We'll let that one almost go off the page. And I really, really want to put something in here. It's making me crazy, guys. It's making me crazy. Okay, so I'm going to put one in. Oh, Cindy. Leaving space is hard for me. That's all I'm going to say, guys. It's hard. And all right. I'm going to put a couple more down here that are long. Let's see. What would be the best angle to do that? Okay. It's difficult because there comes a point where you can't see where the other line is going, and even when I turn my tile, it's difficult to see what I'm doing. So, all right. I want another one right here. I know, don't be mean. It's true, okay? So I didn't do too badly there. I'm going to put another one in here. Okay. And that's a good example. And since I know what I'm going to do up here, I'm going to go ahead and fix that. All right. So one more down here, or are we going to call this good? This is much more random than my example, so I like that. Put that one like that. Yep, I think I'm going to leave this where it is here. Now, all right. So what I'm going to do today in honor of my country's Independence Day, and I want to thank all of the soldiers that have given their lives and their blood and their bodies and their minds and their hearts to keeping us free. I want to thank you guys. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my little tops on, like in my example, these little filled in tops right here. And I'm going to do those with blue. I'm going to start right here with my problem child. And I'm just going to handle that way. All right. And so I'm going to go through that now and do that on all of them. Little sparkle, little blue. It'll be a pretty combination. And remember with these colored microns that the more you go over something, the darker the color will be. So you want to keep in mind to do it the same on all of them so you have the same color gradient, unless you want a different one, in which case, make yourself happy. I definitely want to get this a little darker over here. Sort of take away from the top of that being black. As I draw all of these lines in, I'm going to, again, use the same hand position that I used to draw the tops in. Same, so I'm going to turn the tile each time. Oopsie. Now I'm doing it different. And if you'll notice, as I shifted the way I drew these, also my angle on these shifted. So, that's why I encourage you guys to do it the same way, from the same angle on each one of these. It will make your work more consistent. And that is a good thing. Now, I'll be honest with you, I really tried to figure out a way to put in a blank 5-pointed star on the top of these. I just couldn't figure out a way to do it that would be pleasing to the eye and still fit in this tiny space. So we're not going to attempt that today. But if I could figure out a way to put some stars in, that'd probably be a good thing. I may come in and dot some jelly roll in there to get my highlight, but I'm not sure it'll matter. Well, it might. It might. Okay. So what are you guys planning for this holiday weekend? My child is gone, so I am at home hiding from the heat with Simba, who is excellent company, I should say. He's always down to do something fun. Unfortunately for him, I'm not very fun. All right. And we'll have to zoom out here and see how we're doing on this. See what it looks like. Kind of liking it. I'm digging it. All right, let's keep going. And if when you get finished you have some areas that you need to add depth to that aren't even in color, it's easy to do. All right, let's see, where next? All right. Couple of these I'd like to take off the sharp edges, but again, it's still gonna work. And I have something distracting planned for the ends of these, so yeah. You'll have to wait and see if you want to see what that is. Keep watching. I really like this tangle. I cannot wait to play with it. Ooh, I just had a thought. I may have to stop by Tangle Patterns before we get done. And see if I can find us a 5-pointed star tangle. Because I wonder if I could find something that would go in here. Instead of, I was planning to like put in Printemps or something like that. But I think if I could find a star pattern, that might be cool. And I might add, we've done several that might work, like Ocean's 13 or what else? But I'm going to have a grid on that. We'll see. We'll see what we can come up with. It'll be fun. It'll be festive. I have some new tags to add since it's Independence Day. All right, so I'm going to zip over to Tangle Patterns, see what I can find, and I will be right back. Okay, so what I found on Tangle Patterns was nothing that made me happy. So if I can't have stars, which is my first choice, then I'm going to have hearts because that's my second choice. So I got halfway through my aura lines before I remembered I was supposed to be sharing this with you guys. So here I have just added an aura in blue on the inside track of this one ribbon. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. if I can do it without making a mess, which is always my caveat. And as always, sometimes that works. Many, many times it does not. But I live in hope. Here we go. So what I've decided to do in here is Heartily, that we did earlier. That was a big hit. You guys liked it. So let me see if I can figure it out. Oh yeah, we need the OG grid in here. So let me think. And the OG grid that we don't want to touch in the middle. Okay, now let's see if I can match this up on the other side. That's going to be interesting. Not much room there. Not much room there. Oops. Okay. This is going to be okay because I'm going to ink this in on the side. So if I need to change that up, that's okay. And remember, an OG grid is just these mirrored wavy lines that come bulge out and tuck in. And in this instance, since my ribbon is getting larger, I'm going to get larger too. Okay? Then, if I remember correctly, wait, is there an inner aura? Let me think this through. I think this is right. Let's hope so, or I'll be doing this over. I don't think I'm going to be able to Bronx cheer this baby. Is this right? Then I want to go opposite up here. Or do I want to go opposite this way? I don't remember. So this would come and do this. I think this is it. I'm going to bump and bump. I think I pretty much got it here. And I should have drawn this once before I got in here, but there you are. And if I've made a mistake, it's still going to be pretty apparent what I'm doing here. I mean, an opportunity. So it's an opportunity to do it differently if I made it wrong. If I did it not in the way the step out is. I'm getting cagey with my descriptions here. A sure sign that I'm not convinced. All right. Now, if it turns out the way I think it's going to, I'm going to have, I don't think you can tell up here, I'm going to have these sides blued in. See, if I can say black, I can say blue. Many times I can say both. If I dark this up with ink, my question is, how is this going to look? And because I put this inner aura on there, of course, we've got separation from the sides, and that's a good thing. And I can sculpt these little hearts however I want them to look once I've got the ink in. And here's that spot where I said it didn't matter if I fixed it because I was going to ink around it. Now I chose to do these in blue because I was hoping for that star pattern that never showed up for me. It's out there. I just couldn't figure it out for this one. But I needed a 5-pointed star, and I found lots of things that I could use for 6 points, but not for 5. So there was one. I can't remember who it was by. I'm sorry. That had worked in an octagon. But I found that in practice kind of unwieldy, if you will, meaning uncomfortable to draw and unsure of the results. But that's just me, so you guys might have some better luck with that. And you may have some better ideas, or you may have some ideas of how to make a blank 5-pointed star that looks decent and doesn't need guidelines and such. Well, you know what I mean. Something I could fit into a ribbon. It would be awesome. I just don't know how to make that happen. Okay, so in retrospect, I think I should have put an aura. But it doesn't matter. This'll work too. Just not quite as suave and sophisticated as I was hoping for. But this is going to work. This clearly hearts. Some of them prettier than others. Some a lot prettier than others. I don't know what I planned to do to this. It didn't work out though, did it? And when you're doing this in color, again, keep in mind that the more you go over something, the darker it is. So you want to make sure that you're trying to match the color gradient, whatever that might be. And if you've gone too dark in some areas, you might want to come in there and fix those. Up to you. So I'll be revisiting the step out on this to see what I did wrong. It's not that it's wrong. I may have just not had the opportunity to aura it the way that it was supposed to be. So meaning there may have been another aura here on the outside, so like this, and so inking like this and would leave some separation there, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I'm going to try to not mess up this one. Okay, so not my best work. I'm going to 0.5 in this color would probably be helpful now, but that's all right. I got this. Okay, make sure I've got this on the edge over here. Have a nice finished look. All right, so now that I step back, let's step back from this. That's pretty bright and vibrant. Yeah. So I'm going to come over here, and I'm actually rethinking this and considering doing a different tangle on this other side. Sorry, I get distracted with this. Because I'm not particularly excited about how this one turned out. There's nothing wrong with it, mind. But I don't know. It doesn't have whatever it is that I'm looking for here. So on the other side of this, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill this with printemps like Tabitha did on one of her examples and see if that turns out something that I might like better. The other thing I could do would be to blue this all out, and dear God, that would take forever. And I could draw my printemps in white jelly roll. But let's do it this way, see how it turns out. In the end, I can always black over it all and do something else. We'll see. So there's always Bronx cheer, right, guys? All right, so what did I... Oh, yeah, printemps. Yes, I'm going to try these freaking sparkles on here. I have a really hard time with them because they get in different... I don't know. I have trouble keeping them in the lines continuous looking. Okay, now I'm going to overlap mine. You do not have to do this. It just adds a little bit of extra fun. And then I think I'll just ink in between. Sort of outsmarted myself on this one. Probably could have fit another small one in here, but there you go. I think I can make it work. All right. Let's zoom in a little bit, not too close. I don't want to share all of my flaws with you. Okay. Even the small ones are important, so take your time if you choose to do this. And again, you do not have to. It's your art. You may do what you wish. I'm going to put a partial one in this way and just give the impression that I've got one over there. I have a feeling I'm going to like this a lot better than the other one. Yeah, it'll be all right. It will always be all right, Cindy. Don't worry about anything. Instead, I'm about to quote a Bible verse. I don't want to offend anybody, but don't worry about anything. Instead,
pray about everything. Tell God your needs, and don't forget to thank Him for His answers. And sometimes the answer is no, guys, as I well know. Sometimes, though, the answer is yes. I am so excited that I get to keep my kiddo forever. Now, I may change my mind next week when he comes back, but right now, I'm really thrilled. I don't know, he has been so early into everything, and he is firmly in puberty right now, and I really want him to be done as early as he has started. Just saying. I'm making this one huge because I can, and it'll speed this up. But the only way to do this kind of thing well is to do it with care, and that means slowing down and not being in a hurry. It is something very difficult for me. But it's very important. One of those life lesson things. Okay. Not sure that counts as one, but we're going to call it one. Got court coming up next week, or maybe early the week after on the 9th. I don't think there's anything to do but wait for them to get finished with my paperwork, which is pretty awesome. I cannot tell you how much less stressed I am knowing that everybody is on board and I don't have to worry about stuff anymore. That's such a blessing. I'm feeling very grateful today. I wonder if I could fix this line just a little bit here. And I find I can. Look at that. So I really do like how dynamic this is, and I will probably be grabbing my Varathins to shade some of these. Many of you have said that you have purchased or are purchasing some Varathins. I hope you enjoy them. Don't think that their quality is like the Prismacolor Premiers. It is not. It's a completely different type of pencil. But I think for tangling, it is a really good mix. I also want to thank you guys that suggested the General Pencils pastels, and I will be looking into those immediately. We'll see if we have it in the budget for this month, and if not, we'll get them next month. I think we're going to be doing okay right now. When our stimulus checks came out from the government this month or last month, or in April or whenever they were, I think mine was May, I paid off all our bills, which was a blessing all in itself, and had a tiny bit extra, but that is in what I call my emergency fund. I'm a follower of a man called Dave Ramsey, who is a Christian-based financial advisor type guy. And he has a series called Financial Peace, of which I am a graduate of the university, meaning that basically it means that I pay cash for everything. I don't believe in credit or loans or things like that unless I can avoid it. And so having an emergency fund is part of that, and I've never been able to get one together. So I had a little bit of extra with that, and so I socked it away. So it's not for art supplies. I'm trying to keep myself under control here, guys. Okay, so I definitely like the printemps better, but I'm sort of stuck with what I got over here, and it's not terrible. And I think maybe once I shade it and take care of some of the spots that need a little extra help, then I think this is going to be great. So you might be asking yourself at this point, why am I here? No, you might be asking yourself at this point, why I haven't pulled out my red yet. Well, here it comes. Here it is. So red, white, and blue for the American flag. The red, of course, is representational of the lives that have been lost in protecting and defending our country. All right. So what I'm going to do with the red is I'm going to stripe these outer things vertically, and then I'm going to ink every other one. And so that's going to give us our red influx here. And so let's do that and see how that goes. So I want to, I'll divide this in half. And then divide each side again. And then I'm going to stripe every other one. So how is everybody doing? We are further into the opening up of everything. I have not turned on the news in weeks, so I don't know what's going on out there. I get very angry and upset, and this whole political thing is really, really, I'll say it, pissing me off. And, you know, I'm trying to keep myself from allowing it to make me crazy, so I have sort of put a blackout in effect. And of course, I talk to people about, is there anything going on that's important right now? Multiple people, of course. And, yeah. I want to know things are getting better, and when they don't, they frustrate me too. Our leaders frustrate me. And, again, thanks to Nellie for putting that in perspective in a very good way. Okay, I really like how this turned out. I wish we could have red on both sides, but I think this is going to be fine. So this is how I'm going to treat this. All right. Depending on how long this video is at this point when I'm recording it, I will speed this inking process up for you. If not, then I'll talk to you for about 20 more minutes. No, I'm just kidding. Hopefully it won't take that long. Okay, so point these again. Point them at the center line. There, I did it. All right. All right, so we'll start like this. I have snuck in and used foreshortening here, the technique called foreshortening, in order to get extra stripes in here. So let's see how we did. I still didn't get my red all the way to the edge, did I? I was trying to get a red stripe on the outer edge of each of these. Excuse me. So if I want to do that, I think I need to change my approach when I stripe this. And that will be... I think in order to achieve that, what I'll do is I will start with a stripe on the outer side, sort of a thinner stripe on the outer side of each of these sides, like so. Again. And so. Okay, and those are my red stripes, and then So I need to divide this down the middle now. And now we'll divide this. And I think that will even me up on my stripes. We'll find out right now. So I think I will use my brush pen here. I speed this process up. I've had this pen for about 5 years. And I think this is the first time I've ever used it. But when you have them, they sometimes come in handy. All right. All that thinking, I better come out the way I want to this time. This is one issue though with brush pens, is you just don't get the clean, crisp edges that you do with the smaller nibs. But for filling large areas, they are handy. And for calligraphy and stuff. Alright, let's try not to encroach. Oh my goodness, I still came out uneven. I give up. I'm just striping them however they turn out. And I'm gonna live with it. It's gonna be fine. All right. Okay. That looks awesome. You gotta admit it. It looks awesome. So I'm gonna put a little bit more red here. And again, if I need to, I can get my white jelly roll out and clean some of this up. All right, so let's get started. If you are going to do what I am doing, make sure your lines stay nice and crisp. And again, my jelly roll may or may not make an appearance. For right now, I'm seriously stoked by how good this looks. I think this is so dynamic. I don't think it's going to be a surprise to anybody what we're celebrating here. And I think this is where I'm going to leave you today. As far as shading goes, you're going to want to, of course, towards the center, between the elements, anytime if you decide to do a ribbon thing coming out, you're going to want to shade there. If your elements are touching each other, you're going to want to darken that area. Yeah. The other thing you can do to make these cone things look a little bit more 3D is you can shade along the side on one side. And it doesn't matter if that is red or white or whatever colors you're using. Just go right over it. And then let me grab my tortillon and blend this really quickly and show you. I'm not sure how effective this paper stump is going to be here, but... And with the black Verithin, which I did find the other day, this will work well. So you can add, that sort of looks funky. I'll have to get my Verithin out to do this, but you get the idea. All of the spots where there's overlapping, like here, you're going to want to put graphite on all of those, or your Verithin if that's what you want to use. And I love this. I think this is an awesome design. Yay. Score one for Cindy and for being inspired by Tabitha's gorgeous step-out art. That's one reason why I always suggest that you go and take a look, because the step-out art is frequently inspirational. As far as when you look at it, oh my God, I get so many cool ideas. So all of that to say, I'm going to leave you here today. Happy Independence Day to those of us in the United States and its principalities, particularly to anyone in Puerto Rico. Okay, guys, I'll see you tomorrow. Be safe and be happy. Choose to be happy today.
Some didn't have the time and had too much to do.